Hi guys, my name is Dr. Jennifer Forster. Everybody calls me Doc, and this is my channel, Doc Beauty, Health, and Wellness. Today, guys, is going to be a get ready with me video, but one with a purpose. And what I want to discuss today is inclusivity within the beauty space and the fact that that's still not occurring like it needs to for people of color. And this is going to be my first of a series called Social Justice Sundays. So if this is something that you are interested in, please keep watching. Also, if you have not yet joined our Doc Beauty Health and Wellness family, please click that subscribe button. And if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. All right, without further ado, let's get going. So today, like I said, we're going to talk about inclusivity in the beauty community. And the reason that I want to talk about this and the reason that I'm inspired to do this Social Justice Sunday series is because of my students. And while I talk, guys, I am going to do my makeup. So I'm not really going to talk about the types, like the brand of makeup I'm doing. I'm just going to do my makeup and talk, if that makes sense. So last Wednesday, as you guys know, I'm a teacher. And last Wednesday, or every Wednesday, I have a makeup club, and it's called the HUHS MUA Club, Makeup Artist Club. And we talked about foundation, okay? Also the thing that you need to know about where I teach and the type of student that I teach at what's called a Title I school. And a Title I school, all that means it's a designation by the federal government, and a certain amount of students at my school receive what we call free and reduced lunch, okay? And at my school, it's 100%. 100% of my students receive free and reduced lunch. And that also kind of correlates to the family's socioeconomic status, which designates usually a lower, means they are from a lower socioeconomic status. Now, just because the families that I serve and the children that I teach are from lower income families, that does not mean that these people are any less intelligent, gifted, talented than wealthy people. I want to make that very clear. In fact, in the 20 years I have been an educator, those who come from backgrounds of diversity, whether it be racial, cultural, socioeconomic diversity, people who have had to work for what they have, I find to be extremely creative, extremely hardworking, and people that I want to surround myself with. Sometimes I find, especially students who come from wealthier families or even middle class, upper middle class families, feel like they're entitled. So that is the population of student that I serve and their families. And I also teach at a school that is about 97% diverse. And what that means is 97% of the student population I teach is not white. They are brown and black. And in my makeup club, to my knowledge, I have no white students. And right now in the makeup club, there are about 43 students signed up for it, and they are all female. I am actively recruiting male students to be in the club as well. But there are a variety of clubs that the kids can choose from, and so these 43 girls chose to be in the Makeup Artist Club. So we were talking about foundation, and I just kind of listen. I'll share what I know about certain foundations, why I choose foundations, high-end foundation versus, affordable foundations, things like that. And then I let the girls talk and share their ideas and their thoughts and their experiences. Well, as the girls spoke, there was one child who I have taught previously and is also in my club, and she began speaking about how she went to a makeup store. I can't remember if it was Ulta or Sephora, and she has blue undertones, And the salesperson automatically recommended the darkest shade in this line of foundation this young woman was looking at. And that was not her color. It wasn't her undertone. It matched nothing. Like, it was a horrible skin match. It was a horrible color match for this young woman. And she says she feels like the sales lady did that because she was black. And then I listened as other students responded to this young woman, encouraged her, recommended other brands of foundation that may meet that blue undertone she has in her skin. And it turned into a positive thing, which is what I want, partially what I want the makeup club to be about, makeup artist club to be about. And then as things wound down, I said, okay guys, next week we're going to be talking about bronzers and blush. And, you know, we'll do powders and creams, things like that. And one of my students said, oh, you know, Doc, I really don't want to talk about that. I don't think I might not be here for that. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she said, it just makes me really angry. And I said, it does? I said, why? She said, because there are no blush and bronzers for my skin. And I just can't get that out of my mind. Like, I can't let it go. To hear the defeat in this child's voice, and she's a young woman. She's upper high school, you know, 11th or 12th grade, and it really upset me. Because for many people, the beauty space is a place to feel good, a place to escape. It's therapy. It's something they're good at. Sometimes it's a big part of their identity, especially as young people, you know, trying to find where they fit in the world. I think the beauty space is a place that offers them that, because the beauty space is filled with people who are artists. And we find, at least in my experience, my life experience, the art community is more open and welcoming, especially for sexuality, alternative lifestyles, things like that. And then I started thinking about it. The beauty community is so inclusive of sexual identity and alternative lifestyles and fashion, but is the beauty space truly inclusive of skin color? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. When you look at products, no. Heck no. All of the people that I have met and interacted with in terms of Instagram and YouTube are. But is that because I reach out and I choose to follow and interact with people who are? So I started thinking about it. And, you know, life has a funny way of, I don't know, just happening, for lack of a better word. So I had posted something on my Instagram a while ago, and it was a picture, and this company called KCD Beauty, KCD Cosmetics liked it. And I was like, oh, I've never, you know, heard of this company. So I started digging around a little bit about the company, and they are a brand, a new brand, a small brand that was owned, founded, created by women of color for women of color. And I love it. And I have been talking with the founder of this company, and she's coming to speak to my girls next Wednesday in the Makeup Artist Club, which I am thrilled with. Not only am I so thrilled that these young women in the Makeup Artist Club are going to get to hear this person speak, but I am also thrilled that KCD is offering each one of my girls, and it's over 40 young women, free samples of their foundation with free shipping. So there is no financial burden on my students, which I cannot even begin to tell you guys how amazing I think that is. Okay. I'm just kind of tapping on some, not foundation, oh my gosh, y'all, some concealer. So, you know, I'm thrilled to have partnered with KCD Cosmetics for my girls. I had a student last week say, Doc, do you mind if I ask you a question? I was like, no, you know, this is a safe, open space. What's up? And she said, do you ever struggle with finding the right color foundation? And I thought for a minute, and I do, I have. But who hasn't? Especially because we can't swatch when we go into stores right now and we're ordering online. But even if we weren't, I struggle personally because I have warm undertones. They're not warm yellow though, it's warm golden, but it's a certain kind of golden undertone, if that makes any sense. And so I'm explaining this to the young woman, but I said, you know, the difference between what I face and what you face is I have options. I have options of foundation color. I said, baby, you do not. And that's the difference. Because I'm white, I have different options to choose from. And this child, this young woman, they're not children, I feel like they're my children because I'm a teacher, but this young woman doesn't. And that was the difference. So these conversations that I've been having with my students in the Makeup Artist Club have really just, I don't know y'all, it's just really got me thinking. It's got me thinking about how social justice movement in our world, the Black Lives Matter movement, it's not over. And you know, my channel was active during the time, late spring, early summer, when the Black Lives Matter movement had caught a lot of momentum globally because of what was going on in our world. And it should have, it needed to. But I haven't really heard a lot since then. And I chose at the time, guys, I'll be very honest. You guys know I'm open and honest. I chose at the time not to post like a video. A lot of creators were doing videos of full face of Black owned beauty, and I just didn't feel comfortable yet with my knowledge of makeup to post. That was one reason. But the other reason I thought to myself is I don't want some white woman on YouTube speaking about a full face of Black owned beauty brands, because I in no way, shape or form want to take away from the movement. I do not want anyone to ever think I'm acquiring the movement. I want people to think, not that you can acquire the whole movement, but you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to come across as this, oh, this white lady's reaching out and helping. I don't want that. I think that takes away from the movement. It takes away from the message. Black and brown people need to have their own voice. Their voices need to be heard. And my opinion, as a white woman, I need to sit and listen. And I have been listening. I've listened to my colleagues. I've listened to my friends. I've listened to my students. But now what I want to do is I want to talk about social justice in a very broad, historical way. Okay? And so that's why I'm starting Social Justice Sunday as a series on my channel. And what I plan to do is I'm going to do my makeup, and I'm going to talk to you all about different things within the Black Lives Matter movement, within human rights movements, within just social justice as a whole. And I want to highlight companies, brands, nonprofits, people who are pushing for social justice in our world. And so today I'm going to be talking about the Social Justice Institute. All right. And so, as you guys know, I'm a teacher, and I am involved in a program with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. It's a fellowship, and it's called CTI, the Charlotte Teaching Institute. And as someone who is involved with this program, so last summer, not this past, so summer of 2019, we took a civil rights trip. And we went to, oh my gosh, y'all, we went all over. We went to Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana. I feel like I'm forgetting a state. But we went all over. We went to Selma. We walked the bridge in Selma. We went to this small town. I'll have to pull my notes. We went to this small town, I want to say in Alabama, and we sat in the courtroom, the historic courtroom where African American people had been tried and found guilty for nothing except for the color of their skin. We went and saw homes where Martin Luther King had stayed at and spoken at. The church that the 6 little girls were killed at, when it caught fire, we went there. We went to the Social Justice Institute. It was an extremely powerful trip for me. So as you guys know, I have a PhD. I'm what someone would think is a highly educated human being, right? Just because I have a PhD and I hope I know things about science and science education, because that's, again, what my degree is in. And I've done a lot of research and have, my research specialty was 21st century reasoning modalities. So looking at like quantitative reasoning, quantitative modeling, how people understand and do these things cognitively. That was the research I did when I was a university professor. But just because I have a PhD does not mean I know everything. So on this trip, we watched some documentaries, and I read books. I got a lot of books at the museums that we went to, and was trying to educate myself on the civil rights movement, why it's, I know why it started, but like what triggered the national movement in the United States, things like that. And then came across Emmett Till. And I didn't learn about Emmett Till until last summer of 2019. And I don't know if it's because so much of my education was geared towards science. I don't know if it is because I went to a private school, K-12. I don't know why. But I never learned about Emmett Till. And for those of you who don't know, Emmett Till was a young boy. He wasn't a man. He was 14 years old. And he was murdered for looking, and some say speaking to, a white woman. And his mother, he had come down south to visit his aunt and uncle, and his body was shipped back up north. I think he's from Chicago, to his mother, and it was by train then. And she made the decision. She held an open casket funeral. And after Emmett was murdered, beaten, tortured, murdered, his body was thrown into the river. And so despite all of that had been physically done to his body, his mother chose to have an open casket. So the entire world could see what was done to her son. And as a mother, it made me sick. It made me sick. As a human being, it made me sick that things like that were happening. And then it made me angry that I didn't know about it. There's so much I don't know. And so I just couldn't believe. I still have no words. And I'm still struggling and working through the emotions that come up still more than a year later from that trip. And on the trip, it was all educators. It was all K-12 educators from Charlotte-Mecklenburg school systems. And the Larry Bosk is a retired teacher, social studies teacher, history teacher, and he leads the trip, and he does this trip for students as well. It's amazing. It's amazing. One thing that we did on this trip was we went to Brian Stevenson's Social Justice Initiative Institute. And I want to say it's in Mobile, Alabama. And they have an exhibit. I don't know what other word to use. An exhibit outside the SJI. And it's these enormous blocks of stone, and on the stone is carved each person's name and like date of birth and death year. who was lynched in the United States and where they were lynched. And it's done, I want to say it's done by state and county. This exhibit that we went through had sculptures as well that, and again, they will be embedded. These sculptures here that you are seeing, I could not believe how emotionally triggering these sculptures were, and still are when I look at them. And you may have heard of Bryan Stevenson. He wrote a book called Just Mercy, and I've read the book. We actually did a book club with CTI and with Larry Bosk and the Civil Rights Group is what we kind of call ourselves. And we read his book. A movie came out, Just Mercy, the movie. We went as a big group and watched the movie together as well. With SJI, though, they have a copy of every stone monument. And they work with the cities or the counties on being aware of the history of lynchings in the United States, of accepting that it happened in their areas, and then they give a copy of the monument to the city or the county, and it is displayed. But the city and or county, the area that it's given to, has to be ready to accept it. And so I think that's very powerful. Now, I'm speaking about this based on the knowledge and information I have access to. I do know that in the city of Charlotte, where I'm from, there were lynchings. There was, and again, this is the information I've been given, there was a lynching in downtown Charlotte, and it occurred where the Bank of America Stadium is, where the Carolina Panthers play, on the 50-yard line. There are discussions with the city and with SJI and with groups of people, and teacher colleagues of mine are on this working group to educate the citizens of Charlotte about this event, this history. It happened, to help heal, to discuss, especially what went on this summer with the protests. So there is a movement to get the SJI, the lynching monument, back to Charlotte. I'm honestly not sure where that's at right now. When COVID happened, so many things were like knocked out of their timelines, their trajectories. So I have not had a chance to touch base with my colleagues who are on that committee because of everything that has been happening with COVID. I do know I'm at such an amazing school with such amazing colleagues. Two of my colleagues this summer, who are also the GSA, the Gay Straight Alliance Club advisors, held peaceful protests with students of the GSA. And these young people, who I teach many of the kids who are in the club and have taught them, and they posted it on Instagram. They had signs made. I was so proud of them. So proud of them. So I want, if you are watching this video, I want you to be aware that there are initiatives and education initiatives going on in our city and all across the United States. You can Google Bryan Stevenson Social Justice Initiative, and it very much, he was a Harvard trained lawyer, and he could have been a Timbuktu trained lawyer. The man's a good lawyer, period. And yes, his experiences at Harvard Law School helped to prepare him to be a great lawyer, but he is smart and he is driven, and he is working for human rights, period. And they very much are involved with people on death row who have been convicted and put on death row. And he and his team work to have the convictions overturned that, you know, these people were wrongly accused. And they investigate that before they go in and take the case. So, but I want you as a viewer to be aware of this, because again, going back to my comment about me not even knowing who Emmett Till was, it wasn't because I don't believe in human rights and social justice. It's because I didn't know. And I didn't know enough to know what I didn't know. I was ignorant on the subject of civil rights, period. And I will admit that. And I am still ignorant. I am still learning as much as I can. And so it's a journey. It's an emotional journey for me. It's an intellectual journey for me. And it's very important that, to me, that I use my platform, my YouTube channel, to share what I am learning and what I do know. So, Brian Stevenson, the SJI Institute, or the Social Justice Initiative, is also, they collect soil. They have collected soil from every single lynching area in the United States that they can get their hands on. And they have jars of it. And again, I'll put pictures up. They have jars of it in their museum. Which just, when I saw it, guys, I was just like, I had no words. I was just like, huh. I had no words. I can't even begin to explain what it was like, guys, to see this, to see what was happening. How many lynchings, it would blow your mind. It would, and it's not little podunk cities, and it's not all in the South. It's all over the United States. All over. It happened in the North too. I think, at least I had this perception that, you know, civil rights only occurred in the South. The social injustices were only occurring in the South. No, that is not the case, my friends. That is so not the case. Then I think, again, I didn't know what I didn't know. Did not know what I didn't know. So, you know, where do we go? That's the other thing. Where do we go from here? For me personally, it's teaching. I will be honest, I teach at the school that I teach at because I want to. Because I want to serve and to teach this student population. I think that every child deserves access to highly qualified teachers, which I fit that category. Not only am I highly qualified, but I have a PhD. And so my students at the school I teach at, they deserve teachers with 20 plus years experience who have PhDs. They deserve the opportunities and the hopefully the knowledge that I can share with them and pass on to them, and that they can interact with me and share in those learning experiences. They deserve that. Every child deserves that. Not just Title I low SES. Every child deserves that. Okay? But I very much want to be a part of the school that I'm at. I love it. I was not forced to go there or anything like that. I chose to go there. And I love it. I love that my decision. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. So I also want you guys to know, on this trip, and I can't remember the dates, I want to say it was like 2017, 2018, there were a group of, we went to Mississippi as well, if I didn't mention that. There were a group of young men in a fraternity at Ole Miss who shot up a sign with AK-47s, and it was a sign showing like the store where Emmett Till supposedly spoke to this white woman. And they also say that he whistled. He did the wolf whistle, which that was never proven, but point blank, nobody deserves to die because they talk to another person or they whistle at them. Is it rude? Sure. Do you die from it? No. Hello, common sense. So anyway, this sign is up because you know how like They're historical signs, this happened here, or James K. Polk lived here, what, those kind of signs. So it was one of those, and the sign has been repeatedly shot up and vandalized. And anyway, these fraternity brothers from Ole Miss, the university, Ole Miss, they shot it up with AK-47s and all this other stuff, and then they posed with their guns and put it on social media. So they were brought to court for vandalizing a federal monument, I think was the charge. I'm not clear on that. But anyway, the case was, the punishment did not fit the crime. I don't even think they were punished. I have to look it up. I have to go into it. But I remember on the trip that we were learning about it, because we went to those areas. We saw the sign. The people who are in charge of, like, the park rangers, because it's a federal park, or a federal historically protected monument. They saved the signs, and the signs are now part of an exhibit when you go into this, like, the little museum part and of these areas. And I was floored. I was like, are you serious? What's wrong with people? Serious? I was so angry. I was ashamed. I sat in the courtroom in that one small town that we went to, and I cried. I did. I sat there and I just cried, like wounded animal, depths of your soul, scary cried. I did. And I was sitting where the jury sits. I just cried. I felt such helplessness, shame. The people that had the same skin color as me did that. I felt ashamed of my own skin color. I did. It was hard. It was hard. I mean, I'm very glad I did it. We tried to do another trip this year, a second trip, but COVID. So today, very much what I want you all to take away from this first video in the Social Justice Sunday series is, you don't know. It doesn't matter how educated you are. It doesn't matter how much you've already read. I don't even think it matters if you've experienced and lived it. You don't know everything that's out there and that's going on. So what I encourage you to do, no matter who you are, what your experiences are, to keep learning, to be actively engaged in learning. I think you need to be actively engaged in the movement, social justice movements in general. Because if every single human being on this planet somehow decides to participate positively in the movement, we really can change the world. So my participation is to continue to educate myself and share what I learn with others. My participation is to be the best teacher that I can be for my students, to be the best mother that I can be with my boys, to educate my boys and give them opportunities to engage in social justice work, no matter how small it is or how small we think it is. It makes a difference. So that was our video today. I know it was kind of like heavy. It's a very heavy subject, but I think it's important. And I'm still new to the beauty community and to the beauty space, as you all are well aware, but we need to be more inclusive. We need to, I want to live in a world where my students, no matter the color of their skin, are like, Doc, I went to the store and found the most awesome foundation ever, and I'm super excited to try it, and it fit into my budget. That's what I want to hear from my girls. I don't want to hear that they don't even want to talk about blush and bronzer because there is no blush and bronzer for them. That is not acceptable, period. And so I want to be part of the change, and whatever I can do to help, I will. And I know today it might seem like I was everywhere, kind of all over the place. I'm still getting my thoughts together, but I wanted to share why I'm doing this series with you all, and I wanted to share the experiences that I had on the civil rights trip, because I really think that had a lot to also do with me wanting to do this series. And yeah, so I'm just going to build from here. I'm going to let my life experiences help drive things, but I also would love to hear back from you guys. If you are a person of color, have you dealt with, especially in the beauty space, have you dealt with issues where you can't find products, or you walk into a store and you feel like you've just been offered the darkest shade, like my student, because of you're black or brown? And when I say a person of color, that includes, you know, people who do not self-identify as white. All right, so Asian, Hispanic, black, African, whatever your nationality, if you do not identify with your race as white or Caucasian, I'd love to hear about your experiences within the beauty space. I think it's important for us to share, and this is a safe place to do so. So please know that. Please know that I view comments before they're posted, so on and so forth. So let's be positive in our comments in terms of to each other, but please feel free to share your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. That will also help drive this series. So that is our video for today, guys. Again, I know it was heavy, I know it was deep, but I think this is important. And even if one person watches this, because I know I'm still small, at least that one person watched and hopefully is starting to think, because I want people to think after they watch this series. So again, guys, thank you so much. If you did enjoy today's video, please hit the like button. And if you have not already, please subscribe and join the Doc Beauty Health and Wellness family. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.